Hello everyone, I am Pradeep. I am host of this closure meetup, the Bangalore closure meetup, and been hosting along with Shantanu and it's been I think nearly 5 6 months. We have hosted these meetup along with Shantanu and Robert. So it's going through so far so good. We have seen a good spike in the number of people who are joining us in these meetups. In past, we have not been recording these, and this is just one attempt where we will be recording the meetup as well. And I'm one of the hobbyist Clojure programmer. I don't use Clojure in my day-to-day work, but I do lead a team of engineers who write code in Java and Node.js and other programming languages, plus some sort of DevOps work. And Clojure is something which I'm much inclined towards and been dabbling around for quite a few years now. And yeah, I think this meetup is one way of just getting more involved in the community, getting to see what other people are doing with the closure, either in their day-to-day work or as a hobby, and been so happy so far to interact with like-minded people, and looking forward to this one again. So yeah, I think I will nominate Hariom, who will be the speaker for today. Um, Hariom, over to you.
Hello everyone, my name is Hariom. I have been working with Project for close to 6 years. Uh, I use Clojure in day-to-day work at Project. We have a framework that we have created in Clojure, which I'll be talking about today in the meetup, and I'm really excited about it. Uh, and I wish a wonderful afternoon full of learnings to everyone. So yeah, I'll nominate Shantanu. You can go next.
Hey guys, so I'm M. Shantanu. I've been learning and using Polio for quite a while. Um, um, in fact, I started around 2009 when the number of people trying out Clojure were very few and just a handful bunch. So I have been using Clojure in multiple companies earlier, and these days I'm using Clojure for full stack work. Um, and And as Pradeep said, that I also participate in hosting these meetups. We are a small group of people who try to organize these meetups, and that's it. And who do I nominate? I don't see the names here. I only see the initials. Maybe
No, if
Ranjit.
you if you yeah, if you hover over those, I think you will get the name as well.
Okay. Yeah. I would nominate Ranjit to go next. Ranjit, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can't hear you, Ranjit. We can see you, but can't hear you yet.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Now it's fine, right?
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the first time I'm meeting, like, I'm in a culture meetup. I'm interested in learning. Like, my background is Python actually. I've been doing like in Python programming in web stack, like mainly in the web, past 5 years. Uh, just curious about this language and everything, so I just found this meetup. That's it.
You can nominate the next person. You can introduce. Okay, maybe I'll nominate on behalf of Ranjit. Anubhav, you want to go next?
Yeah. Hi everyone. So I am Anubhav and currently I work as a Ruby programmer at Vitacraft. It's been 2 years I've been working here, and I started looking at SICP. So was interested in learning how the functional world works. And Ruby has certain chops of function. So yeah, like that, like wanted to explore like what all things can be done using more functional language, and that's why I'm here. Thank you. I'll nominate Mrinal.
Is Mrinal this side. So I don't really have a good idea about Clojure, but the description of the meetup sounded great, so I hopped in. Hopefully, we'll learn a thing or two about Clojure, function programming, and like, event processing. I'd like to nominate Shivam to go next.
Shivam, would you be able to unmute yourself and give a brief intro? I'm assuming some mic trouble there. So I see Adi in the call. Adi, maybe you want to go next? Yeah. Thanks, Ranjit. And not able to hear you. No, no, not able to hear you yet. Was able to see your video, but oh, okay. You can then maybe type in the chat and nominate the next person. Text intro. Maybe Karthik, you want to go next?
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay. So, hey, I'm Karthik. I work at Gojek. Currently, I'm looking after observability platform at Gojek, right? I started working in Clojure in 2016, rewrote bunch of services from Go to Clojure. And I'm also one of the contributors for Ziggurat, the open source framework. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Okay. Akshay, maybe you can go.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Hi, I'm Akshay. I work at Quintype. I've started working in Clojure for about 7 months now. Yeah, just still getting familiar with Clojure and enjoying the journey.
Nice. Okay. I see there are a few people who did join us, and I think they have dropped off. Ronak and a couple of other names I see. Param. Fine. I think we have the good quorum. I think we can. If I have missed out anyone, and I think the platform is open, you want to give a quick intro, please use this time. Hey, Dania,
So
please.
I think Himanshu is there, right? Like we can nominate him.
Himanshu, I'm not able to find in my list here.
Yeah, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, so yeah, I like currently I'm not using Clojure, but I have used Clojure in my previous companies for around 4 years. So I know bit about Clojure and looking forward to what new there in Clojure and what people are building.
Great. Thank you. I think thank you everyone for round of introduction. And I think we'll just pass it over to Hariom so that we can begin the session right away. So Hariom, over to you. And yeah,
Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you, everyone for joining and making time on this Saturday afternoon. There are a lot of people here, and everyone has very different exposure to Clojure and functional programming. I didn't mention in the intro, I'm just a beginner. I have been working with Clojure for last couple of years, specifically with the framework that we are going to talk about. So let me just quickly share my screen and we'll get started. Yes, can you see my screen?
not yet. Yeah, now I can.
Okay. So yeah, today we are going to talk about event streaming in action in Clojure uh, and evolution of Ziggurat at Gojek. So hello everyone, my name is Hariom. I'm here because I love to discuss ideas. You can find me on Twitter at HOGOT. Overview of the talk, the idea of event streaming and its benefits. We are going to discuss that in today's talk. And we'll discuss how Kafka's role plays a vital role in making it real, and how do we run event streams at scale at Project. This talk is about Ziggurat, which is the open source event streaming application development framework. We have developed it at Gojek, and after working on it for a year, we open sourced it in 2019. Today, it powers more than 250 applications in production at Gojek. All of these applications are written in Clojure and maintained by our managed platform. We'll talk about events and streams, which are the most constituting parts, basic constituting parts of event streams. What are events? What are streams? How many of them you can run? How do you actually go about running them in Clojure? We'll see all that. Wait, but why in Clojure? So we saw this opportunity where we wanted to perform business operations on a particular trigger, and we just wanted to write a function that declaratively acts on top of a continuous stream of events. So we chose a functional programming language for that, and the ability to do strong interop with Java gave us the edge in terms of using Kafka Streams library directly. And with the help of this, we could also explore the opportunities of various functional programming aspects of doing things like transforming data or splitting or joining it for example. Right? Also, at the time, we were looking for Clojure adoption at Gojek, and this came out as a very handy way of writing Clojure applications at Gojek at scale. So yeah, let's talk about the biggest elephant in the room: event sourcing. Event sourcing is it's not a new idea. It's a very old idea, and you may find very old blogs on it. There is one by Martin Fowler which talks about what is event sourcing, and it's pretty old. And it basically talks about how you can build applications in a different way than you have been building on top of HTTP REST APIs. You can think about asynchronous communication. You can think about how every business operation is append only log, and you can build any state of a system from playing that append only log again and again. So that's the basic idea, and it basically is constituted of two things: events. Events is the continuous append only action which is happening all the time. For example, let's take an example and say, let's say we talk about Dunzo. So we use Dunzo all the time during the days, when it rains, when it doesn't, and all the time we are making orders on Dunzo, and we are making bookings, and these bookings are being assigned some partners, and these partners are completing our trips and getting us deliveries. So these are the events which are continuously happening in business domain, and there are streams. Streams is continuous real-time reaction to the action which is happening in the first place. For example, when a customer is creating a booking, you trigger some sort of an action to find a partner for him, right? And then when you find the partner, you say that okay, you have found a partner. If some sort of an allocation goes, and it basically notifies the customer that a partner has been found for you. So all those reaction to creation of booking or changing its state, all those reactions are basically streams and running on top of business operation. So you can think about it in these terms. The event streaming concept overall is consisting of two things, and there are various business entities like booking, payments, and domains. Uh, there are actors to consume from these entities, which are built on top of Ziggurat. It basically leverages Kafka Streams, consumer and producer APIs, and gets and produces data to and from Kafka. So in today's world, event sourcing and Kafka go a lot of go together, go hand in hand, and it makes sense because if you look at it, this diagram again, we see that Kafka is the backbone of this whole architecture. Right, you have interactions between all these applications, and the data is directly going to Kafka, and you are directly interacting with it. So what is Ziggurat in a nutshell? It's a stream messaging framework. Uh, let's say you want to build applications which primarily worked on top of events. You can directly use Ziggurat, and you will get a lot of things out of the box. For example, you will get ability to stream events from Kafka. You can produce events back to Kafka also. You can retry when your processing of events fails. You could do so with linear back off, with exponentially backing off your processing. And when let's say your retries get exhausted, you can manage the dead set as well, right? So you can visualize this whole processing in this diagram. So there is Kafka, from which you produce and consume events. There is this Clojure app which is running, which is consuming these events from Kafka and providing various capabilities, which is like anything which is programmatically possible to the developer. The developer basically is writing a function of what he needs to execute on top of that event. Maybe he wants to save that event to some SQL database. Maybe he wants to make some HTTP API call or a third-party service call, right? So it can do anything like that, and if it fails to do so, it can enqueue it to RabbitMQ for retrying, and based on the delays and the configurations, you can consume it for n number of times, where for how much time you want to retry, and then it goes to dead set. Yeah, you can pretty much imagine anything in the business domain, and there can be events on top of it. For example, we talked about the Dunzo ecosystem. There are bookings, there are vouchers, there are payments, and all of these have state transitions, and there are actions on all of those state transitions in the business ecosystem. So all such applications and various use cases can be built and have been built on top of Ziggurat at Code. We can build multi-stream pipelines using Ziggurat. We will see just in time how, in which you can transform data, you can split data into different messages, and you can join data as well. So how does it go? It all begins with creating a simple dapps.adn file in your project directory, and you just give it a version that you want to get from Maven. Latest version is 3.15. And let's say you want to consume data from Kafka. So you just need to write Ziggurat/main, which is basically you are invoking the main function, and you can pass it start function, the stop function, and the stream routes. Now just let's take a minute and see what they are. So let's say you want to initialize any state with starting up of an application. For example, you wanted some connection pool with a third-party system or a database. You could write the logic to start that particular state in the start function, and Ziggurat will take care of starting the application and starting those dependencies as well, as and when the application starts. Similarly, you can define a stop function, like how to gracefully shut down the various connections that you have, drain the connections that you have. You can do that in stop function. Then stream routes. Stream routes give you the ability to define how and where from you want to read data, and we will just understand more about how to do that. Before that, let's think about what are stream routes. So we all must have tried out APIs sometime in our work, right? So APIs have all the API routes have some sort of a URL where you access that API, and it has some sort of a handler which basically is executed whenever you trigger that particular handler, basically by calling that URL. So similarly, you can think of stream routes in a way that you have an identifier for the stream, right? Like how do you want to call this stream of events? You can maybe call it greetings, right? That these are the greetings which are flowing into the system, or maybe logins, or maybe signups, right? And then the handler function, which you want to define on top of that. Like whenever a user signs in, I want to send him a welcome email, right? So some sort of a handler function like that. You can define such stream routes, and because you see it's a closure map, you can define n number of such stream routes, right? And those can have their own identifiers like booking, tips, and driver allocation and whatnot. And you can define your business logic for what you want to perform when you receive that event in the handler function. So let's see how we can define this stream identifier and what role does it play by looking at the sample config for a stream router, which basically can be added to a config.adn file, and you basically need to define this map where you say what is the application ID for my app, what are the bootstrap servers where I want to listen from Kafka, and what is the origin topic where I want to read from. And that's pretty much it. When you enter this information and you start the app, it basically starts consuming from Kafka and basically have it. Now let's see what understand the handler function. What can be written in the handler function? What can be achieved with it, right? So you see that handler function is something which is executed when a particular event comes into the picture, right? So let's say we have configured everything and we have written that okay, on each booking or on each greeting, I want to perform this handler function call. So if you look at it, it's basically we are passing main function to wrap middleware function, and when we pass the stream identifier wrap middleware to middleware function, it basically gets you the deserialized message, whatever message each stream is getting, and it executes the mapper function with that deserialized message. Now see what is the deserialization. So in this particular example, I'm doing a very basic serialization. I'm saying that my data is stored in a byte array in Kafka, and I'm just deserializing it to be a Java string, and I just pass it along by deserializing it to the main function. Main function gets it and just prints it. So instead of this print ln message, line number 8, it could have been anything which is programmatically possible. I could have made an API call or any other thing, for example, making some sort of transformation into the message itself and producing it back to Kafka. And as I talked about, there can be many multiple stream routes. This is an example where you can see booking, transport booking, tips order event, cancellation free time, active order ETA, all of these things, which are various streams which we have defined. These of all of these basically have their independent handler function, which is working on top of them, and they have something called channels also, right? So what you can do with Ziggurat is, let's say you are getting a stream of events and you want to process messages at a later point of time. You can just enqueue it to a channel, and basically it will go to RabbitMQ with some certain delay that you want to define, and you can process it later. And let's say you have some sort of third-party call, which is a lot of time-consuming call, right? And you don't want to execute every time you even get that API call. Maybe you want to do that in certain batches. You can again make that batch, push it into a channel, and that channel will be executed later. So these are all the various possibilities that is possible when you explore event sourcing, right? When you want to like, let's say for example, you want to merge two different streams, so you can define two different streams, maybe perform some sort of uh, ingestion of data in one stream, and use that ingestion into the second stream and build some sort of a merge or join on top of it, and expose an API on top of it, which another consumer or developer can use, right? So that is another functionality that Ziggurat provides you. It gives you the ability to write actor routes. These are the routes which you can expose via the application on HTTP. So for example, let's say there are driver locations which are coming in into the system, and we basically need to say whenever a user opens the app, the consumer app, they see the nearest drivers available to them. So we basically run an application on top of driver locations. We say, okay, these are all the latest locations. We categorize them using their S2 IDs, geo location categorization, and we store them. And whenever a user calls for the nearby drivers, we basically take their locations S2 ID, get the drivers which are there in that S2 ID, and show that to the user. So all of that is possible because on top of streams, you can expose HTTP APIs as well in Ziggurat. Then there is something called modes. In the end, on the image you see modes. Modes are something with which you can independently run either a stream route or a channel or HTTP routes. This can be very vital and instrumental in production support scenarios. For example, you are facing some issues in HTTP API, but you don't want to stop consuming from Kafka, or other way around. Let's say you have some sort of delay in event streaming pipeline, and maybe you don't want to like get your HTTP APIs affected because of it. So you can just run actor routes, and it will just start up the HTTP APIs and will start serving the requests. While you can independently run stream routes and debug what is going wrong in there and release a patch for that. So let's talk about some specific examples of how you can achieve different things in and with Ziggurat. So you can write middlewares, as I mentioned before. You can write middlewares with Ziggurat. So you can assume like various use cases and various teams and organizations will choose to serialize messages differently. They might choose to serialize it in JSON. They might choose it to serialize in Avro. They might choose to serialize it in byte arrays or maybe protocol buffers, right? So basically, you can write any sort of deserialization logic, pass it via the handler function to the middleware, and transform each message before it gets reached to the handler function. So Ziggurat provides you out of the box with a default middleware called protobuf to hash, with which you can just pass a profile and give it which particular stream identifier you're looking to work on top of, and it will give you basically a hash out of it, which will be passed to your handler function. There's something which is out of the box available. You just need to pass your profile. Similarly, Kafka production support is available. You just need to take a message, choose which topic you want to produce to, what is the key and the value of the message, create a producer record and hit send, and it basically gets produced to Kafka. And let's say we were doing all this processing. We were executing some sort of bookings. We were making payments calls for them, and we failed to make that API call. We failed to reach the server. So what happens when failure happens, right? So in that case, you can just add retries to your application by just setting retry enabled true in the configuration. So you see that count is there available as well. You can decide how many times you want to retry, and you just gotta add a retry keyword to the handler function or the main function that you have. You just want to say on which conditions you want to retry this particular coming event. For example, in this case, I'm saying on particular message, if it comes, I don't return a success, I return a retry from this function. And as soon as I retry, voila, my message goes to the delay queue. I mentioned that we have a retry mechanism working on top of RabbitMQ. So this is how it looks like in RabbitMQ. So as soon as you fail to process a message and retry is enabled, it goes to delay queue. In delay queue, it stays for some time, and then it goes to instant queue from where it gets picked up and is processed by application. And then if it fails to process this, it will go into a retry loop. So message will go into this loop for the number of time you have defined the retries to be, and then eventually if retries are exhausted, you will get all the messages in the red letter queue. So what would you do if you have messages in that data queue and you want to process them, right? So you just make an API call called that's it replay, and you mention which topic entity you want to replay messages from and what is the count of messages that you want to replay. And voila, again, basically your messages start gets processing. You have independent RabbitMQ based consumers running, which are picking messages up and executing them, and finally eventually you get all the messages out of that letter queue, and all action is done. Another thing which is available out of the box to an application which is running on top of Ziggurat is observability. It's a very key aspect because every application which is running on top of Ziggurat has a defined metric contract. This metric contract gives you defined metrics like throughput, which is in RPM, handler execution time, which is in seconds, a Kafka delay in time, which is in seconds, and other various rates like success rate, retry rate, skip rate, and failure rate out of the box. So as soon as you start your application on the defined strategy port, you will start getting your applications on top, metrics, out of which you can define a pipeline and you can use any uh, infrastructure for monitoring your application. Like for example, you could use TickStack or you could use Promptwheel, and you could basically visualize your metrics in Grafana like this. For example, on this dashboard, we have throughput per minute. We have total number of messages processed by the application, the delay in the Kafka messages. So you can see that there has been some delay because we have P99 defined as well. So at times it is going and spiking somewhere. And what is the relation of let's say mapper function execution time with it? You can correlate. Uh, each metric also has some default tags so that you can filter application metrics in production and in integration, or if you have any other deployment environments as well. And for example, you want to filter specifically for one of your applications, right? So you can filter with that as well, and you can filter with which identifier you want to particularly look for, right? So that also is available out of the box. And let's say you wanted to do some sort of debugging with Kafka streams that you are running, right? So in that case, you could basically set metrics recording level to debug in the configs, and that's it. You get thread level metrics and task level metrics for your application. You can measure latencies and rates, and how many commits you are making, how many commits you are making to Kafka in terms of reading messages. So, too many billion messages we process with this ecosystem and platform that we have at Gojek per week. Uh, we have more than 50,000 use cases in production which are running on top of Kafka streams using Ziggurat's capabilities, retry mechanisms, observability out of the box, and middlewares and multi-stream pipelines. We have 312 stars on GitHub, which is actually more than Sehwag's score in Multan test. And we promise 100% action. If your message gets failed to process, there is a retry mechanism in place which will take care of it. Let's review some of the concepts that we talked about. We talked about stream routes. Stream routes give you the capability to define the identifiers for your streams and how do you want to perform, or what actions do you want to perform on top of them. Identifiers give you the ability to define a friendly name for your event stream. You can do retries. Retries in case of failure, you can do immediately or with a linear or exponential backup. Uh, you can define a handler function which can be unique to each stream. You can define one handler function which gets executed on multiple streams. These handler functions are basically built on top of the data schema of your business events and perform business operations. You can write middlewares with which you can perform operations on messages before making an action. It gives you capability to do pre-streaming actions as well. And you, on top of that, you have API triggers to interact with the domain and fetch useful information and do dead set management. So let's talk about how we have platformized this at Gojek. We have something called actors at Gojek, which is a very opinionated way of writing an application. It is a Clojure application written on top of Ziggurat, and this is a very reproducible component that can be created over and over again. It's basically has an API interface to do so. It gives you monitoring dashboards out of the box, config management out of the box, and automated retries out of Ziggurat version out of the box as well. On top of that, we handle infrastructure, manage infrastructure for those applications with operations on configs, alerts, and costs. Uh, as I mentioned, all of these can be managed on a portal. This is something with which you can see alerts are managed, SLIs and costs are managed, and configs and information is managed as well. This is an application called Geofence Service. It's an application running in production at Gojek. It has very high throughput. It works on top of driver locations and sees if a driver has breached in or out of a geofence that you define on top of a booking. So let's say I created a booking and I want to see if driver reached the destination. And so what I do is I define on top of the booking stream, as soon as the driver is found, I define some sort of a geofence that this particular destination in these many minutes should be reached in. Like either driver should enter it or exit it, and as soon as he enters or exits it, you can notify any business application or API or service or create a new event that the geofence was reached in, totally out of the box with regards capabilities. What impact have we created at Project? So in this graph, you can see we have more than 40% applications in total, which are based on Ziggurat compared to the rest of the applications, and more than 35% of the total live applications are in Clojure as well. So let's see how Ziggurat fares against different possibilities that you have when you want to stream events from Kafka. You have Apache Shamsa, which is a framework to consume and process streams on top of Kafka. Jago is a Clojure library to do the same. Kafka Streams is there, which Ziggurat uses internally, and it gives you some capabilities as well, right? So let's see what are the features, various features, and how they fare against each other. So there is automated retries which Ziggurat provides, and Shamsa also provides it. And you can basically forget about failures. Just define what do you recognize as failures, and as soon as that condition happens, the whole thing goes through a pipeline of retries that you already configured by default available to you, and you get it out of the box. Uh, Middleware support is a very unique feature that Jira provides, with which you can serialize or deserialize or do any pre-processings with before receiving the event for all the streams. Protobuf support is something which you can do with Kafka streams as well. With Ziggurat, you get a default middleware to convert protobuf messages given a protobuf protofile to hash. You can't do that with Shamsa and Jackro, although you could write some custom code or maybe reuse Ziggurat code and do it with Kafka streams. Another unique feature that Ziggurat provides is HTTP API support, with which you can manage that set. You can expose useful business actions to users as well, and that is something which is also out of the box available. Batching support is there. If you wanted to batch messages from Kafka, you could use Shamsa as well, Jackdo as well. But with streams, you only get messages one at a time. Uh, and another very unique feature is observability, which is baked in. You have a defined metric contract and tags coming out of each application which is running, and you can very well visualize them in a dashboard as well. So what are the future possibilities? Let's say you have a concise domain on top of payments. Whenever a payment comes after booking, you split it into different transactions for drivers or customers or merchants. And when that happens, you want to reconcile, you want to trigger what sort of performance or characteristics were there for drivers and add that to his performer. All of that can be built in one application using multiple streams, and your domain can be very concise. You can make it modular, and that is possible because you can do multi-streaming with Ziggurat. You can also write zero dependency apps. You can consume and store all of the state in Kafka streams itself, and have no dependencies and run with high uptime. You can define it as a function, as a service as well, where you just write a function out of an event and it just gets executed, and you don't have to worry about anything at all. So yeah, that's pretty much it I wanted to talk about. And if you wanted to explore further, there are various resources available because it's an open source Clojure framework. There is a talk, evolution of Ziggurat, given in Clojure by one of my colleagues. You can check it out. There is a blog on Apache Kafka and Ziggurat, and you can check it out as well. There is a blog which is about a production support story we faced at Gojek in February this year. You can check that out as well. There is code on available on GitHub definitely, and there is a blog for enhancing Ziggurat, which talks about various features we worked on in the last year. And eventually, let's say you are running an application at your local environment. Let's say you just want to give it a try. You want to see how you can do it in your machine. You can just try out monitoring Ziggurat apps blog and set up all the monitoring dashboards and visualize everything at your local machine. So yeah, it is open source. I would like to welcome you all to check out the code and make contributions to it. I would like to thank all the contributors to Ziggurat. Because of them, Ziggurat is what it is today, and I'm immensely grateful to the open source community for the latest version 3.15, all the contributors, all the reviewers, and Confluent Kafka Stream community for providing us with such a handy tool, and this meetup for the opportunity to talk about what we are doing and working in Image Streamer. Thanks a lot. That's it from my side. Feel free to ask me any questions you have. You can also find me at Achugor on Twitter.
Hey, hello. Thanks, Arium. Okay. So, guys, any open questions? I'm not sure. Jonathan, you mentioned something in the chat. You want to speak and provide more details. What exactly you mean by the message?
Sorry, which one? Can you come again, Pradeep?
No,
I didn't get the question.
no. It is something posted in the chat message. The question itself doesn't look very clear in terms of what Jonathan is trying to put forward. People posting link to the meeting on Hacker News.
I think it's a typo. I think I get that
Okay, fine.
typo there. Nice work.
Great. Any questions from anyone? Need more details? I think the platform is open. Please feel free to use this time and ask questions. And thanks, Arium. I think this was pretty interesting insights on how the tool is built and how it is actually used at scale. I have a couple of things listed down on my side. I want to maybe get more details on that. I will wait for someone else to begin and then, yeah.
Yeah, definitely check out the GitHub repo and see if you can try it out. You can follow one of my blogs and see what you wanna like what you can do. The concepts that you talked about in the story stuff, you can also follow through the blog and try them out.
So one thing which I'm curious to understand is that when anyone is creating an application which is going to consume the Ziggurat library, right? How the scaling of the instance would impact, because the main method is basically going to be part of the new application which you are creating, the handler and everything, right? Now, if I'm going to create 2 or 3 different instances, my consumer, I think there is, can you just maybe share the screen again? I'll just, the configurations, what you have shown, where I'm defining my config EDN, right? Yeah. So, and in this, I'm providing this application ID, right? So this application ID is going to be common for all 3 instances, or is it going to be different? And if it is common for all 3 instances, then how my message distribution and processing would happen? Is it like processed in a FIFO manner or ad hoc manner? If you can just throw some light on that.
Okay, that's a good question. So Kafka streams, let's see how this will basically get consumed, right? In streams, we will get this application ID as a consumer group on Kafka, and let's say the partition count for that topic that we are reading from is 50. So those partitions will get assigned to some stream threads in your consumer group. So these stream threads you can define in the same config set. You can write how many you want to configure on each instance. There is a default configuration for that. So, but you can override it. You can say, let's say you want to consume 10 threads in each instance. You can write stream thread count as 10 in this configuration, and that's pretty much it. When you restart the application, it gets started with default 10 stream threads on each instance, and you run 5 instances to cover all the 50 partitions, and each instance consumes 10. So the topic is fairly distributed in terms of the partitions that you have on the different instances. So each partition is assigned to a consumer group.
And the sequence of the messages in which order they will be processed, that will be ad hoc.
Although that order is not guaranteed with Ziggurat, Ziggurat provides you the guarantee of at least once semantics. But think about it. If you are writing messages in order to a particular partition, in the same order they will be received by the application as well. So on the partition level, whatever ordering of messages is there, it is basically maintained, and for the application, it's the same order in which it receives it,
Okay.
until and unless it goes into the retry loop, where it becomes the FIFO first come first serve.
Right. So that's where my follow-up question is the retry dead end HTTP endpoint part, right? So now whatever things are actually failed. So say we have a single partition and everything is basically read in the same sequence, and if there are certain failures which have happened, those specific messages. I think the previous example if you can go to the next one where you are doing the check. This one. So if the message is not specifically maybe found to be in a format, we have put it into a dead queue, right? And now the dead queue, they are going in the FIFO format, and once you will retry, they will be pushed again, right? So, but these orders ideally should have been processed in the sequence. So how that thing will be taken care, or is it something which is now totally out of order?
So it's definitely in the order of uh, first come first serve, right? So you if you encode it before, it will be processed before as well. But yeah, it might get processed before or later after some other message as well. So that's the thing you have to build for idempotency in your application. And if you're very order strict, you don't want retry based flows maybe, or maybe you have some sort of checks in place for the retry mechanism so that you can ensure order is there.
Okay. And is there any kind of a circuit which can be put in? Let's say, since my application might be very, it's not very idempotent, right? So I need to depend on the sequence of the data instead of maybe processing the next set of events. I want my consumer to stop until the actual issue is resolved. So is there a kind of circuit breaker which can be introduced? Uh, in,
Do you mean without code change? Like you wanted to, let's say, stop processing streams for time being, right?
yeah, so I understand it will be possible by adding the custom code in the main handler, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but nothing out of the box per se, right?
Yeah. So what you can do is in such a scenario, you can use the functionality called modes, and you can just run the HTTP APIs of the application and stop the stream application altogether.
Okay.
Yeah, and as and when you will restart that particular mode streams, it will start processing from the point it left processing, right? So whatever consumer group is there, it can start processing from where it left.
Interesting. Okay.
So let's say there is a third party which is failing, and you want to not fill in all your dead sets and retry queues, and you are sure that after this particular fix, you can get this problem sorted.
Mm-hmm.
You can stop the streams, keep running the HTTP APIs, make the code change, deploy it, and basically you can run the modes again. Like you can run the stream again, and whatever fix you have done, you can test it out in a manner that now the problem is fixed or not. So
Interesting.
that is also possible.
Okay, and I hope you mentioned that this information is available in a blog as well, right?
Yeah. So like how to do retry, these are the two basic steps, and I've already talked about how that gets visualized into
Uh,
RabbitMQ.
Modes. I'm interested to understand more on the modes part. How the modes can help me uh, try out and stop the processing.
Yeah, so there is about modes in README. There is a section about modes. You
Okay.
can check that out
Cool.
on the GitHub repo, or you can just see there is this blog as well, which talks about various features in Ziggurat, and it talks about modes a little bit as well. So yeah,
Okay.
this is how you can send modes in.
Got
you
it.
can just say API server or stream worker. If you give both, they both will be started. If you do not, if you don't give anything, all the modes are started by default.
Got it. Okay.
But as it is primarily meant to consume from Kafka, there is a need for you to define a stream route like always, so that the initial Kafka consumption starts, on top of which you can expose your APIs and all.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
that was a good question. I like talking about modes. Any other question? I guess we have a lot of time. We can discuss more.
Yeah, we have good amount of time available. It is 20 minutes easily. So you can post the blog link.
Sure.
I think we can. So Shantanu, you will be able to share out the emails to all the participants, right? With maybe we can collate these information and we can just send out these links.
Yes, yes. So we need a way to basically collect all these messages and the links so that we can collect all of them in one place and then post the links. I think, yeah, Hariom, maybe you can access the meetup page and you can add the links as comment maybe, and that
Yeah.
will be a good way to basically capture all the links.
Sure thing.
Okay.
I'll just share them here as well,
Yeah.
so that everyone has access to them. Also, I saw comment about Hacker News. So, is it something we are not supposed to do? Because yeah, I
I,
can keep that in mind for later.
I'm not sure about that.
I think it should be okay, but
I actually didn't understood the comment at all from Jonathan, and I needed to understand more. As in, uh,
yeah,
his
yeah.
people posting links to meeting on Hacker News. I'm not sure what you mean. And Hacker News is, I think, it is something where people normally share something which they find interesting. So it is the personal choice there, right? And if someone
Yeah.
feels it's violating Hacker News guideline, they can always downvote and mark it or flag it. So I'm not sure what he meant there, or
Right, right.
So, if there is anything that could have been better in this, feel free to share your thoughts and ideas, and I'll be very happy to come back to you on improvements, and maybe we can discuss one of those ideas in detail in one of the later talks. There are people who have used Ziggurat at Gojek, and maybe they can share their ideas as well. If you have any questions about Ziggurat or even streaming in general, Kafka streams, uh, welcome those questions as well.
I have a question related to Gujarat, Hariom. So
Yes.
when I was at Gojek, I have used Jugaad as well, and one of the things that I have always realized is that the capabilities of Jugaad, the, and, and the functionality would be actually great to have if Jugaad was a library also, so that it can be embedded in other places where people have projects that are already using some framework. So in those cases, Jugaad becomes easier to embed if it is a library instead of a framework. So I also had a few small conversations regarding that earlier when I was at project, but I do not know that what was the outcome of that later. So if you can share anything about that direction, whether this is still a consideration to 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 extract the library part from Jigurat so that can be embedded somewhere else.
Yeah, you are right. We have discussed this idea before, to maybe uh, make different utilities out of it, and maybe keep the code very light and with basic functionalities, and being able to use it into any application. Although you can use Ziggurat today into any of your applications as well. But yeah, it could be more lightweight and more simpler. Right now, it's more of a very full-blown microservice a way of writing things. So, but yeah, if you want to work upon it, maybe we can chart out a plan and see how it can be done, and we'll be happy to take it up and see if it can be a much lighter library which we can use with various applications and use cases. Although like at Gojek, some teams are using it as a library, but yeah, there might be some other challenges when you use it as a library, which we might need to know better to work on that.
Hi, Hari Om. Aditya here. Sorry, somebody was saying something.
Go ahead, Aditya. I think.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Also, when you were talking about, Adi, I will just come back to you. If you
Yeah.
talk about the responsibility of the library that you were talking about, would you like to keep it as a single responsibility? Would you like to have some sort of redrawing library out of it, or if you would like to have a stream plugin which you can put into any application? How do you visualize it? That will maybe give me more hint about that.
So the idea is to actually strip it down to a very core functionality. For example, currently Gujarat uses Mount for its state management, and it uses uh, BD for routing, and so it is very frameworky. So the core functionality is somewhere very inside, and to get to that, you have to basically cross all these different things that every application may not want. For example, so some application may not want to use Mount at all. They want to use something else, and similarly they may not want to use BD at all, uh, and so on. So when I talk about library, it should be basically have only the core functionality with the hooks, so that somebody can actually integrate that library into their own own app. And the landscape is pretty wide, right? Like these days, like pe- people model and organize their code uh, uh, in different ways, and in those ways, Jigrat's framework nature may not actually blend in well. So I was wondering about a very core set of things that can be extracted as a library, something like Jigrat core, and that should not either have a BD or mount, or even maybe RabbitMQ, because RabbitMQ is a way to sort of implement retries now. So if those things can can be abstracted away and be replaced by hooks, so that those hooks can be tied into something else that somebody else may want to use Jigrat as. So that would be quite useful, I think. And
I,
that is
I get it now. Very insightful to share this with me. I'll think about how we can do it, or maybe if it is feasible, do it as well.
okay. Sure.
So there is a question on whether it can be run on container or cloud. So yeah, we are running in both VMs and GKE. Yeah, you could either choose one deployment strategy or the other. You can have both as well. If you have the same consumer group and you have the same Kafka brokers, both stream threads running on cloud and VM will share the same consumer group, and you will have messages being processed, events being processed on both the platforms. And yeah, the partition-based order guarantees remain. Although when you have retries enabled, you can have auto orders messages as well. So yeah, that was the question from Danny. Adi, let's yeah.
Hi. I get the sense that there must be a lot of in-flight data held in memory while stuff is being shipped from one end to the other, like publisher to subscriber, etc. Can you talk a little bit about the performance characteristics of Ziggurat, like how what kind of GC characteristics do you see? How does it respond to like changes in volumes of messages coming and going, etc., etc.?